And a man who you've all been waiting for because you've been sending me many, many emails. Right there.
Hi.
Mr. Jim Beaver! Remember, folks, no flash photography because of the potential for seizures. No flash, no flash. And God himself, Misha Collins. First of all, let's give them a huge thank you for being here. Thank you. Yes, you get to look at yourself kind of backwards.
Hey there, handsome.
And I have two staff
That's kind of off-putting.
I'm going to be doing...
Who's doing that? Ooh.
That was me. I'm going to be doing the Q&A line around where the cameraman is, right in the middle there. And as you see, I have my two amazing staff members, Deb and Jason, waving. And you can go and sit in those chairs and we'll call you up one at a time. But Mr. Beaver, you just got here last night and you already put it on your Twitter this morning. Wow, I think that's a paraphrase of what you had on your Twitter. You've never seen anything like Dragon Con.
No.
Well, I don't get out much. But yeah, this is I mean, in our business we work with a certain amount of people in costumes. But nothing like this. And the people I've seen who decided that not wearing a costume was a costume.
Those are actually the best costumes.
Those are really, really good costumes, and I encourage more of you to. So, that's all I got to say.
And we have our... Guys, seriously, I am amazingly loud.
Where are you? See, this gets creepy when I can never see you.
Yeah, we see you now.
Phew. Okay, I can see you now.
I can really, really, really hear you.
Yes, I'm very loud. We have our first question.
Whoa.
Hi.
Hi.
That wasn't a question, actually.
Questions have that little squiggly thing at the end.
Yeah, maybe it did. Maybe it was a hi.
Yeah. You need rising intonation.
I was gonna ask, I am nerd about Supernatural. What do you guys nerd out about?
What do I nerd out about?
Anybody? Could you repeat the part that wasn't in English?
Come on, you nerd.
What's the verb?
She nerds out about Supernatural. What do you nerd out about?
Nerve out.
Nerd.
Nerd.
Beef. Nerd. With a D.
Dork.
Misha's lying to me about what she said and what it means. He's never lied to me before.
She wants to know, what do you perv out about?
Don't listen in, Beaver. Don't.
Well,
Don't do it.
Perv out. Well, I mentioned the costumes, and
there are some very sexy costumes. I do have to say.
Let's get back to that.
There's a lot of skin. I saw a lot of skin.
Who's not wearing anything right now? Stand up.
No.
That would be after Watershed. That's about 9 o'clock.
What's Watershed?
There wasn't
About 9 p.m. tonight.
What is that?
Apparently there is some dirty stuff that does happen later on. Was that already last night or is that tonight? Apparently there's...
Every night.
What?
Every night.
Every night? Like after midnight or just when you guys are drunk enough that it gets weird?
After night.
Has there, somebody talked about porn?
What is that? Sorry, we have to put the kids to sleep. And
Exactly.
Then, so 9 o'clock
the
is the
kids
cutoff.
go to bed and the clothes come off.
Okay.
Really?
Good to know.
Pretty much.
Good to know.
Where?
I was
Everywhere?
Yeah.
But who's watching the kids?
I was trolling the wrong place last night then. What do we nerd out on?
What do you nerd out about? What do I nerd out about?
What do I nerd out about?
You're pretty nerdy about a lot of stuff.
I'm just sort of generally nerdy.
No, you're not.
in a wide expanse of nerdosity. Or is it nerdociousness?
Nerdalicious.
Nerdalicious? That's me. I'm nerdalicious. I think that's going on Twitter.
That may have just worked its way into the canon. You're nerdy about World War II stuff.
Sorta.
Oh,
yeah.
you're nerdy about old
You're
movies.
nerdy
too.
about movies.
Yeah,
big
you
time.
are nerdy about movies.
Yeah. What's nerdy about that? I mean,
And you're honestly pretty nerdy about your collection of Jensen and Jared photos.
no, I'm just nerdy about where I post them.
We call
Yeah.
it geeked up. You're geeked up.
I'm kind of geeked out on books.
Yeah.
Because not that kind. No, just in general again. I'm very general. I'm very general. I have no specifics about me. Generalicious.
Oh, come on, Misha, what are you nerdy?
Somebody please take over.
Yeah, exactly. What are you nerdy about? What do you get geeked up for?
What am I geeked up
What do you
for?
get geeked up about?
What?
Tail?
I've already answered
Tail?
this question before.
Today? Not
No,
today.
but in the past. The answer is kale.
Kale?
Yeah.
Like the
green
green
leafy
stuff?
vegetable.
He's so full of shit. You know what? Don't ever press
I'm glad they didn't see us
anything
next to each
he
other
says, 'cause he
today, because I am so
lies.
sick and tired of your bullshit.
Geeked up.
Ladies.
Tell you what, the only time I've ever really geeked and felt really stupid about it was, I've said this story before. I ran into, of all people, I don't know if you guys would even know who he was, a little redheaded actor named Seth Green. Oh, you guys do know who he is. I showed up at an audition once, and who'd have thunk? You just go, who do you don't think anybody's really going to affect you. Who would you lose it in front of? And we get asked the question a lot, and there's people that you know that you would. And him, I would never have thought it. I find him kind of sexy in a creepy little way. So I ran into him at an audition in LA, and it was pilot season, and all the big, like, Mike Ironside was on one side of me, and the guy from Alias was on the other, and a couple of well-known chicks. And I run into him, and for some reason I geeked. I just went, there's Seth Green, and I started to talk, and I couldn't stop.
Kind of like now?
I couldn't get my foot out, and I dug myself further and further and further in, and I just kept, and I think I started to talk about my boobs, which I do talk about.
That's always a safe default, though.
It is.
That's what I would do if I
It's
were
a
you.
great go-to topic.
It is.
When you feel like things are falling apart, you'd be like, well, anyway.
By the way,
Oh, I have these.
they are a go-to conversation piece. By the way, Misha Collins had his hands down my top yesterday.
You have to, honestly,
I had to tell them. I had to
needed
tell them.
verification
I had to
that
tell
what
them.
we were dealing with.
Right
was
down
real.
there, like right down there, and I think down Julie McNiven's top too,
And mine.
And Julie,
and the beef.
Julie's the one that started it.
She did.
Yes, it's on the internet
Pass
now.
the
photo of
blame,
her grabbing-
pass
Oh,
the
that's
blame.
right. Have you guys seen Twitter? There's a very kind of graphic picture of Julie grabbing my boobs in a restaurant. Somebody was not impressed with that, by the way. Somebody was a little offended.
Who, your mom?
No. My mother would go right on because I got them from her, so she'd go down. I have to footnote her. Anytime I've ever done nudity, my mother always says, darling, you have to... I'm sorry, I'm going to stop touching that. She always says, you have to footnote me because I get my big boobs from her. So when I said, Mom, I'm going to do some nudity in this thing coming up, she said, oh, right on, darling. It's very right on, you must footnote me on that one. And where did we go?
I have to let your mom know when I do nudity.
Yeah. Beav, I don't know if... never mind.
She doesn't know who I am, but I have to let her know.
I think we digressed like 8 levels there.
Yes.
That's totally my fault, and I apologize. Did we even answer?
Well, that's-
Did we answer all the
No one did ask about your boobs.
No,
That's weird.
I answered it. I did the Seth Green thing. Anyway, by the way, I finally had to walk away. I just went... See ya. And he was so weirded out. He was just like... And I just saw that the look of it went from kind of like quirky, questionable to slightly terrified to repulsed. And Mike Ironside, I don't know if you guys know who he is. He can hear this whole thing, and he's looking at his lines at first, and then he's kind of It's kind of once in a while. By the end, he's literally. Where are you going with this? And I finally I had to walk away. I just had to go. Anyway, so good luck. And I walked off, and Mike Ironside's just literally looking at me like, "You're an idiot."
Which one of you got the part?
We weren't in for the same part, Dave. I didn't get that part, by the way. You know what that was? That was for Numbers. Do you guys watch the TV show Numbers? That was for when that was a pilot. I didn't get that, and neither did they.
And
the guy with the curly hair from Northern Exposure got it, didn't he? They were all reading for that.
All right, well, that brings...
That concludes the question and answer session.
I'm sorry. I'm yappy. I'm tired.
I'm going to jump in now and because you reminded me of two things, parts you didn't get and nerds. And when I was little, I had a Luke Skywalker action figure. When I was 4 years old, I distinctly remember holding my little Luke Skywalker action figure and telling myself that I would always remember this moment. And I still remember
Apparently
that moment.
so.
It's one of those few that are seared into my memory. And then when they were doing the reboot, the prequel, the pre-trilogy, that's a gross word, I was up for the role of the young Anakin Skywalker. And, oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I can talk about it now, but I couldn't talk about it then because it was top secret. And so they flew me up to San Francisco, and there was a limo driver that came and they picked me up at the airport to take me to Skywalker Ranch to meet George Lucas. And I wasn't allowed to even tell the limo driver that I was up for the part because it was that top secret. I had to say I was going in for an ADR looping session. And so...
Because the limo drivers need to know that stuff.
They needed to know that stuff. Yeah, I'm sure I was a really bad liar. He was like, oh yeah, there's obviously another Anakin. But got up there, and literally, they said they had cast the young Anakin in the previous movie, and he had told someone about it, and so they fired him and cast someone else. So the kid that we saw wasn't the one that they first cast. So they really scared you. So I wasn't allowed to tell anyone but my agent about it. And got up to Skywalker Ranch, got to play in George Lucas's office with Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. I mean, the real thing. It was like, wow, this is awesome. And I did a lot of stuff. I was like, all right, how do I make myself look cool and interesting? So I had like 45 minutes right before I went in to meet with him. So I went, like, wandered around the grounds on his property and purposefully stepped in a stream because I was like, that'll make a good story. I'll have stepped in a stream. So I came in with like one wet leg. And what it didn't go over like as well as I thought it would. And so I got out and I was just so excited. I wanted to tell somebody that I had just been to Skywalker Ranch. Had a little time before my flight back to LA. So I went into the city, into San Francisco. I went into this pizza place, and I wanted to call my best friend from junior high school and tell him about it, but I couldn't do it because I knew that word could get out and I could be totally screwed. And so I went into this pizza place, and I got a slice of pizza, and I was like, listen, man, to the pizza guy, I gotta get this off my chest. Guess where I just was? He said, I don't know. I was just at Skywalker Ranch auditioning for the role of the young Anakin Skywalker. And he was like, no shit, dude. That's amazing. My parents own the property right next to Skywalker Ranch. And my cousin is Natalie Portman. What's your name? And I was like, Misha Collins.
Oh, there's your big mistake.
Jim Beaver.
It was one of the worst moments of my life. And I walked about a block away, and then I came back in. I actually waited in line again at the pizza place, and I got up to the counter, and I was like, hey, don't tell anybody. Anyway, I didn't get the part.
When I was a kid, the only Luke anybody had ever heard of was the Apostle. And he was still in business. So I don't have a story about getting to be a Skywalker, whatever that is.
Here's our next question.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank God.
And here's our last question.
On with it.
Okay, I was wondering if you guys took anything as memorabilia off the sets.
Yeah, lots of stuff.
Such as?
Well, you can't. Like, you really gotta. You
Sure you
screw up
can.
the props guy. You screw up. I haven't. What have you guys?
They replaced that stuff.
They can. You're really not.
Well, I told you I was like a geek for books, and I was like taking home cartons of books, and then I got home and picked them up, and I realized they're all hollow.
They were prop books. You gotta
But they're a
understand,
fast read, so.
his office or his house on set. I mean, I've never seen more books in one room than I've seen. Like you literally.
You haven't seen my real house.
When you're waiting, well, no, you're right. But when you're waiting between scenes, because as an actor, there's a lot of waiting around. You just pull a book off, as long as you put it back in the same place. You just pull a book, there you sit and you read you can read forever.
What you can't read about is demonology or anything supernatural. Those books on Bobby's shelves are the autobiography of Joan Rivers,
No, they're not.
How to Get Ahead in Canadian Economics, well, those are the really exciting ones. There's a lot of Korean and Swahili Bibles, and
He's embellishing a bit. There's some really cool books in that bookcase, because I sat there when we were shooting that scene. We were there for hours and hours and hours, and you're like, I mean, it does not go fast, right? You got to kind of sit around and wait for them to set up a thing, and they're very good, but it's just there's a lot of waiting around. I read some very interesting stuff in that bookcase.
That might have been Canadian Economics.
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
well, I've taken home most of the really interesting ones. So. But yeah, they're either hollow or they should be.
I've taken chair backs that say my name and other people's names on them.
I can't find mine.
Yeah.
What?
I've got it. The blue sweater that Misha Collins wore, I stole that. In fact, to be perfectly honest, I stole 2 of them. I think for a little while, the wardrobe department was suspicious that I had stolen Dean's hero leather jacket and Castiel's trench coat, which I did not. Someone else stole that, but they were like, we want you to talk to the police about what happened. So anyway, they trust me a lot. I stole one of the little clappers from the little take one action thing.
This is being videoed, you know.
And obviously, euphemistically, when I say stole, I mean admired.
This is the world's most intricate episode of Cops. You're under arrest.
But those are great. Those things are great. It says like season 1, episode blah blah. They're really, and there's only one from each season, so they're incredibly.
Yeah, that's why I don't have any.
Stole those. I've gotten location signs, like this way to Supernatural.
Crew call and
stole those. What else?
You did not.
No, it's true.
You really did? You stole a location sign.
Yeah.
What did you even do with it?
Well, they're in the trunk of my car for some reason at the moment.
Exactly, because you cannot do anything with them.
No.
What could you
They're stolen.
make a
What if I
coffee
can
table?
Get in trouble.
I never stole anything. I forgot.
Jared and Jensen set the stage. They went in at the end of season 1. They went into the wardrobe trailer.
Yeah.
And took everything that they liked and ran out. It was the last day of season 1. Did you know about this? They took anything that they had liked from the season, ran to their car with wardrobe literally running after them, drove home and never brought any of it back. And the next season, they had locks on the door on the trailer.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
Fantastic.
And now, every time the wardrobe leaves the trailer, they have to lock the trailer. So
I don't really want to take any of my wardrobe home. Because the cleaning bills alone would be more than I could handle. Is that me? Oh. I blew my fuzz off.
That's the quote of the day right there, ladies and gentlemen. I blew my fuzz off.
In a nice way.
That has now become the ringtone of thousands of phones.
I blew my fuzz off. Yes, you
Even
did.
more than Nerdalicious?
Probably tied. We've got our next question.
Okay, this is for Misha. How did you prepare, like, to play as yourself in a death scene?
He just got less obnoxious.
Suicide. How do you answer that question? That was fun. It was fun playing myself. I can't believe that why weren't you there? What happened?
I was in the original draft of the script of French Mistake, but the original draft was about 12 pages too long.
Yeah, and also I think it was super expensive, that episode.
Yeah.
They can't afford Jim. Way too expensive.
Yeah,
And he's high maintenance.
No,
and
high maintenance and hundreds of dollars.
Yes.
They might have had to cancel an entire other episode.
Yeah.
So.
I got the first script and I was like, this is a hilarious idea, but can you make the Misha character, I sent emails down to LA to the writers, can you make the Misha character more of a douchebag? And they were like, yeah, we'll see. And then they did another draft and it was not that douchebaggy. And I was like, guys, come on, you gotta help me out here. And they're like, we don't want people to hate him. And so then I had to sort of improvise more douchebaggery into the script.
I love that word, by the way. It's my favorite
It
word.
wasn't there because it was important. Like as a matter of just personal integrity, I didn't want people to think that I was a nice guy. So
Not a big worry.
no, but you know, people don't know. I mean, some people might think I am, and I wanted to be careful. I'm gonna stop talking.